Hi everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes to transition from our module on Tomatoland as we begin work on our research projects. I've had a chance to read through most of your discussion board comments on the Tomatoland book, and I want to thank you for really engaging in a great dialogue and conversation about really complicated issues that are brought up by Tomatoland. So to sort of synthesize the general comments on the discussion board, the book seemed to be an eye-opening experience for a lot of students, encouraging us to think about food in a way that we haven't maybe thought about. It certainly raised issues related to human trafficking, or what Estabrook calls modern-day slavery. Brings up a lot of complicated issues about undocumented immigration, and students had a lot to say about the undocumented immigrants themselves, bearing some responsibility for making those decisions, and other students said maybe that's part of the issue, but we really need to look at the companies that hire undocumented immigrants and some of the unethical business practices of some of those companies as well. Other students pointed out frustration over lack of regulation, so perhaps frustration over regulation over pesticides or immigration policy. Many different social, environmental issues were raised in the Tomatoland book. So at this point, all of you should hopefully have finished the entire book, and if you haven't, definitely take some time this weekend to finish up the last few chapters. As we move forward, I want to take just a minute to sort of make a bridge between our reading of the book and moving into the next phase of our class, which is doing our research projects. So in the discussion board, I asked you to focus or identify what you think are the key problems raised or identified in Tomatoland. And in response to that, the next phase of our class, we will start looking at solutions to those problems. So, for example, if we say that there's a problem with lack of regulation, then the next step would be to think about how do we improve regulation? What is the role of government? What is the role of businesses? What are the role of consumers? What are the role of farm workers in terms of organizing? And so you'll take those issues that you raised, the problems that you saw, and start to identify meaningful plans of action that people can do to address some of those issues. So in Tomatoland, Estabrook writes about the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, and they can really be seen as a model for how you identify a problem and then begin to take steps to work against that problem, to try to solve some of the issues. The Coalition of Immokalee Workers is identified as an incredibly successful organizing group, and if you're interested more in some of the work that they do, you can just Google them, or even Google the Fair Food Agreement, which is the program that the Coalition of Immokalee Workers was able to get up and running in our tomato fields. It's not a completely happy ending. There are still many things that need to be done to improve working conditions and to think about the environmental impacts of the way that our tomatoes are produced. But certainly the Coalition of Immokalee Workers can be recognized as really promoting social change and getting us thinking about different ways of social organizing. So that's one way that some of the problems addressed in Tomatoland can be focused on. So what you will do in your group projects as we move into our next module looking at research, together you will be assigned a group of approximately 4 to 5 students, and as a group you will discuss what you see as the main problems that are raised in Tomatoland, and then you will try to come up with an innovative solution, or maybe solution is too strong of a word, but you'll come up with some sort of call to action or ideas about how to improve the problem that you are focusing on. So you may focus on immigration policy, or you might focus on awareness of pesticides, or you might focus on improving farm workers' wages, similar in the ways that the Coalition of Immokalee Workers did. So as a group, you will conduct research, And ultimately, your work will result in a video that we will present as a public service announcement. And I will, over the next week or so, post the instructions on the video, and I'll also post a couple of examples of what other students have created for their public service announcements. But in the meanwhile, you should get your group lists this weekend or Monday at the latest, and start communication with people and continue the dialogue that you had about Tomatoland on the discussion board. You'll want to continue that in your small groups and take some time to read through all of the Global Solutions assignment details, which are located on Blackboard. Yeah, if you have questions about the project, definitely let me know. But I expect that most of the work over the next few weeks will happen in your groups, and you guys will take the initiative to hopefully come up with some really great videos that we will all have a chance to watch at the end of the semester. So thank you.